lost to Mississippi State.
And penalties have plagued the Tigers since Game 1. Here are some players' plan to correct the issue moving forward.
And the LSU volleyball team hosted the Houston Cougars on Saturday. Find out how the Tigers fared in their home opener.
Don't go anywhere. The fifth quarter starts right now. Hello and welcome back to the fifth quarter. I'm Madeline Adams.
And I'm Reggie Chapman. The LSU football team got torched on all levels Saturday night in a 37-7 loss against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. The 30-point loss was the first ever against a Mississippi State team and the Tigers' first in Starkville in 17 years. The offense looked lost and made plenty of mistakes down the stretch. 2 touchdowns were called back due to penalties, and star running back Darius Geis was held to just 76 yards rushing on 15 carries. LSU's wide receivers certainly didn't pick up the slack either, with big-time drops, including one potential touchdown, which Orgeron mentioned in his press luncheon today.
No, we didn't. We dropped some balls. We dropped one. It was for a touchdown. We didn't hit some passes. We had a lot of one-on-ones. Whether we didn't catch the ball or the ball was not on the money, like they have been the last 2 games. I think that the pressure was there. We didn't have a lot of pressure the first 2 weeks. Their defensive line did a pretty good job. We only had 1 sack, but I think there was 8 or 9 pressures that affected the throws. The crowd noise, us being behind, the 2 drops really hurt us on some drives. I think it's a combination of all those.
The LSU offense was outgained by just under 200 yards against the Bulldogs. Matt Canada and company will need to vastly improve if they want to have a shot at competing for an SEC title. Despite the poor performance, Ed Orgeron believes that this loss will be a turning point for this Tiger team.
That this is going to be a turning point for us. It better be. I learned a lesson. We did not prepare as well as we should. We did not play well. It's my responsibility. I think it's good that they're angry. I know the coaches are angry. We're angry at ourselves. We could have coached better. I know they felt they could have played better. And we can't underestimate anybody, especially when we're going to their house. Those guys won't fire.
The Tigers will have a chance to work out some of their kinks when they host 2-1 Syracuse this Saturday. Kickoff is set for 6 p.m. and will be live on ESPNU.
Well, I mentioned last week after LSU's win over Chattanooga that the nagging penalties would have to cease to exist if LSU were to have continued success. Now, a week later, those penalties didn't go away, and the Tigers gave up their first loss on the road at Mississippi State. 9 penalties for a total of 112 yards cut the Tigers' chances at getting in the end zone. In fact, over the last 3 games, Matt Canada's offense committed 17 penalties, and the Tigers won't be able to just leave those yellow flags in the past. Both senior linebacker Donnie Alexander and freshman defensive end Neil Farrell were ejected for targeting and will miss the first half of next week's game against Syracuse. This morning, senior quarterback Danny Etling and junior offensive lineman Will Clapp discussed the discipline within the team.
Penalties, you watch them on film. I thought on offense we really tried to avoid any pre-snap penalties. Those are tough judgment calls, and the referee makes them, and you see those, those fast, quick-hitting plays that just kind of the guy makes a call, and you got to live with it.
These are issues that we see to fix now. I mean, the penalties is the biggest thing, and I'm sure as I said, we're gonna fix it today and get it handled. I don't know where the whole this isn't like a disciplined team things come from. We're definitely disciplined. There's standards, and when they're not met, we are disciplined.
Now, the discipline for the team comes a little too late after the first loss of the season, but if the Tigers lose the penalties, they could really turn the season around.
Star running back Darius Geis did not see the field the last 10 minutes of LSU's loss on Saturday. Coach Orgeron said the preseason Heisman hopeful Geis is nursing a minor injury and would not practice today.
He's not going to practice today. He had a minor injury, so we're just protecting him. I think he's going to be fine, though, but we'll not practice today.
Geis' status for Saturday's game is still uncertain.
The LSU soccer team is undefeated no longer. The Tigers saw their 7-game winning streak come to an end Sunday in a 1-0 loss to Vanderbilt. Both teams were neck and neck for nearly the entire game until Commodore freshman Madiah Harriet scored in the 86th minute. It was just the second goal LSU has given up all season. The Tigers will look to bounce back Thursday when they travel to Tuscaloosa to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m.
The LSU volleyball team took down the Houston Cougars in straight sets on Saturday in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. Tiger TV sports reporter Kayla Thomas has more on the story.
Wednesday from a record-setting crowd here in the PMAC as the Tigers defeated the Houston Cougars 25-19 in just 3 sets. Coming off a loss on the road to Baylor, the LSU women's volleyball team found a way to win at home. During the match, there were a lot of ups and downs, but the Tigers fought their way through. Senior outside hitter Gina Tillis led the way for her team's victory with 8 kills.
Sure, when we get up, though, we need to be consistent and resilience through that time in the middle and keep on fighting through the middle to keep that lead throughout the entire game.
Coach Fran Floyd says that the Tigers were anxious stepping out on the court.
I was proud of that we just kind of stayed the course and kept playing until we're done and we've finished and won the match.
Tigers will have a chance to improve themselves at home Friday against Texas A&M. For Tigers TV, I'm Kayla Thomas.
Thanks, Kayla. The Tigers return to action on Friday when they open SEC play on home against Texas A&M. The match is set to start at 7 p.m. Coming up after the break, Tiger TV sports reporter Sydney Roberts recaps a disappointing weekend for LSU football.
Don't go anywhere. The fifth quarter, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the fifth quarter. I'm Sydney Roberts. Well, it was a rough weekend for Louisiana football fans, and of course, the most unexpected and disappointing game was LSU's 37-7 loss against Mississippi State in Starkville. But the Tigers weren't the only team to fall to their opponent. The New Orleans Saints struggled against the New England Patriots in Sunday's matchup. Southern University was demolished by UTSA, and after their hard fight, even the Ragin' Cajuns were defeated by A&M. Let's take a quick look at some of this past weekend's games.
Well, pass rush start.
Reggie said earlier, LSU was dominated by the Bulldogs, and fans were not impressed. As you can see by the facial expressions, it was a disappointing loss. And in the Superdome, the Patriots came out on top, defeating the Saints 36-20. They have dropped to a 0-2 start on the season, but this isn't a first for the Saints. This Sunday's loss marked the 4th year in a row that they've started their season with a 0-0 record. Then there was UL Lafayette against the A&M Aggies. If you had a chance to watch that one, you know it was a hard fight and an exciting game. The two were tied 2 different times during the game, but A&M eventually pulled away, beating the Ragin' Cajuns 45-21, something fans were definitely excited to watch, but ultimately let down by the final score. Southern University also played this weekend. The Jaguars were crushed by UTSA 51-17 in the Alamo Dome. The Roadrunners held the Jaguars to 149 offensive yards, breaking their school record for fewest yards allowed. A tough loss for the Jaguars, who are now 1-2 on the season. And last but not least, Nicholls State broke the pattern, defeating Prairie View A&M 44-13 at home. They are now ranked number 23 in the FCS Coaches Top 25 poll for the first time since 2007. Definitely a refreshing W in this weekend's pile of L's. Now, of course, watching your favorite team lose is no fun for anyone, and Louisiana football fans are no exception. But the ups and downs can sometimes be the most exciting part about football season. Of course, there's a lot more football left in the season, so no need to worry too much just yet. We'll be right back with more on the fifth quarter.
Welcome back. A news update now. The developing story surrounding the death of LSU freshman Maxwell Groover continues tonight. Right now, students are gathering for a candlelight vigil in Groover's memory. Tiger TV News reporter Kara St. Cyr is live at Christ the King Catholic Church with more. Kara?
Hi, Reggie Madeline. I'm standing here outside Christ the King Catholic Church where students and faculty are gathering to honor the late Max Groover. Now, we can't take you inside this event that starts at 6 o'clock, but we will be live tweeting. So you can follow us at LSU Tiger TV and keep up with us on our website at lsunow.com. For Tiger TV, I'm Kara St. Cyr.
That's all the time we have for you tonight.
Be sure to follow us on all of our social media at TTV_sports for more.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you right back here next week on the fifth quarter.
Good night, Tigers.